Hello, this is David with his Print Media Ministries doing a series of training videos on desktop publishing. Today's topic is adding a spot color to a one-color document to make it look better. It will look better either printed on a laser printer, inkjet, or on a printing press. So what you see here is what's called the Pantone Matching System guide. In offset printing or graphic arts, we use numbered printing system for colors, and so the color I'm going to add is what's called a spot color. Is this color right here, the 185 Pantone, which you can mix from these primary mixing colors or buy pre-mixed. We have it pre-mixed, and so that's where you use a designated color, and the designated color that you create in Photoshop transfers over to Adobe InDesign page layout program. So you make a designated, not just any color, but a designated Pantone color in your work of graphics in Photoshop, and when you place those graphics into Adobe InDesign, then the designated Pantone number will carry over, and then in InDesign will show you how you can preview your color separations with InDesign CS3 or later, and so it really makes the document look nicer. So first of all, I'd like to show you the printing press here. So we have a nice two-color printing press. The idea is, why would a person just want to print in one color only when it's more attractive to print in something that can do two-color with exact registration? And so the next step is to show you what our starting document looked like. This was the original English document here that was in one color printed. I started printing these in 1981. The artwork was by Bruce Mayo, and so that was kind of an old style, and now we have newer style artwork. And so let's go and see if we can find somebody tried to enhance that by turning it into a Spanish document, and to me it was kind of not very clear to take the English document and turn it into a Spanish document, so we didn't want to do that either. So I was down at the Free Tract Society in Los Angeles, and I discovered that they had a newer version of that, so I'm going to look at the newer version now, see if we can find that. And this newer version artwork was two colors. There was titles, and it had graphics. And so since I didn't have these graphics and I wanted to upgrade my document and add a color, I borrowed one of their tracts with their permission, leaflets, and I scanned it into the Photoshop using my Epson V500 photo scanner, and I scanned it at about 300 dots per inch. And so I took each of the individual sections of graphic and made its own little image here. And you can see this one here is a one color. So the first thing I did is, there was nothing in the pants here, so I wanted to add a grayscale or a version of solid black to make it look like blue jeans. So I went over here in Photoshop, CS5, and I have to click on the black over here and go OK and choose. It doesn't have to be a Pantone color. It would normally be Pantone black, I would say. And then I go up here to the paint bucket tool, and then I go to the gray paint bucket tool, and up here I type in for opacity 50%. If I wanted, this is actually about 40%, but just to show you what happens is, you put the paint bucket tool inside an area that has a black border all around. You press the paint bucket tool, and it pours in the screen or tint of that solid black color. In this case it's 50%, and then you wanted to get the rest of it, you just click the other areas and it goes like that. So I'm going to undo those two things. Step backwards. There. Now let's talk about adding a red color. I want to add my Pantone 185 red to this area here. Go back to the black arrow key to I want to add in here as the shirt under this undershirt, sleeves, ends of the thing, and up here in the collar points of the shirt, and I want to add red shoes. And so what I did was I double clicked over here in the bottom corner of the tools palette. I go to color libraries, and then I have my choice. I want to make sure I've got a Pantone solid uncoated color, and then I'm going to scroll up here and find the 185 that I showed you in the swatch book. So we're moving up now, we're almost there. Go a little bit more here. There's 185, Pantone 185. Then I click OK. Then the Pantone 185 I didn't show because I'm not in the right mode yet. This, as you can see up here under image mode, I'm in a grayscale mode, and that's for the black and white version of the document. There'll be a black color and there's going to be a red color, both for the laser printer and for the printing press. And so the first thing I have to do here is, this is fine for the black document, and what I'd like to what you have to do here is we have to go layer, duplicate layer, and then background copy to is fine, or I could just call it, I think I could call it red color, and put a 185 on there. Then we go OK. So now you'll see over here in the what's called the layers palette, we've got the background copy, which is black, and we've got the red color, which is here. So the first step I did was to eliminate the areas and make a transparent background. And so by doing that, I was able to use my magic wand tool up here in the tools palette, and I clicked in this area here, and it selects the area bounded by the black, and then you press the delete key and it turns it from white into this checkered clear background. I did that with each of the pieces I wanted to put red in, so there's, when the black's printed over the red with a trap, you're going to be able to see the red underneath. And so we got that taken care of. Now I can go ahead and go over here, and I can go up to image and to mode, and I can change it to a for now I guess we're going to go to an RGB color. I think I'll actually try going to a duotone. Now that made the whole thing red, and that's not what I wanted. So we're going to cancel that. So I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to go image, mode, and I'm going to go to RGB color, red, green, blue, and I'm going to now I have my 185 Pantone red over here in the corner. And so what I can do is I can take my paint bucket tool over here, and I can go like this and put the paint bucket over the area, and I can just click like that. It's still in my 50% tint mode, so I have to undo that. And now I'm going to go to 100% here. And I'm going to, now I'm at 100%, I'll use a paint bucket again, and I pour in my solid red there, the solid of the 185. Then we have to select, deselect. Now we come over here and we go and pour in there. Then you just don't have to, you just click here and click here and click here. But the problem now is that the if you zoom this in, it may look good for the laser printer. You see there's but there's a possibility, a very likely possibility, that when you print these two colors on the printing press, that this the black is not going to trap over the red properly, and there won't be a trap. All these kinds of graphics that are where you make colors in from scanned graphics in Photoshop and import them into Adobe InDesign, it has to require a trap of the one color over the other color. Otherwise, it seems to be there'll be a white gap along here, and it's not going to be a good idea. So, in my opinion, the better way to do this, so let's go back and go edit, undo, and let's find the shoe or whatever it was that we had that that was the last thing I did down here. Maybe it was this shoe over here. Yeah, it was this shoe over here. So what we would do in this case is we're going to start by using the paintbrush, and what we're going to do is make a little bit of an overlap. And so I'm going to use the brush tool, and I'm going to have up here about a size, I think we could get by with about a size 5 will work. For the brush size, we want the opacity to be 100%, the flow to be 100%, and when you pick the kind of a brush here, under this here, you can pick, I'd like to pick a solid brush and not a fuzzy brush. And so we got that now. So what we can do now is we can let it undo that. I'm going to start by what I'm going to do is click and drag along here. I'm going to cover over about halfway. I'm trying to go down the middle of the line, dividing the line between nothing or transparent background and I do that all the way around the whole shoe area here. So I'm going to have a trap, a built-in trap. Then when it's all outlined around, then I will go ahead and take my paint bucket tool and I'll just go like this and pour in the red inside there. We got a little bit of a problem right here. So I noticed, why I don't know. So what you do on the case like this, where you've got that interference area, we're going to take the rubber stamp. Let's try and take the paintbrush tool and see if we can get rid of that. There you go. Paintbrush tool takes care of that just by going like that. So that's how you do that. And so now we see that we got added a spot color. Let's go over to some other things here we've got in our InDesign document and decide what kind of this is actually the Photoshop document. Let's look at a few other things we got here. Here was an example of the cover of the newer design, how I separated out for some reason just the fly that flies through the hole in the man's stomach. Over here we've got this is just the red layer. And so I got to go back to one thing. And so after we made all those in the what I had that I closed, see if we could find it here. Yeah, this one here we're going to view fit on screen. The next thing would be, how am I going to separate this thing into to get rid of the black background. So somehow I have to get rid of all the black and have just the red. Well, the problem is I supposed to have a second layer. When you go layer, duplicate layer like I did before, and then you go OK, and then you end up with the black layer, and you end up with the first layer, and then what you would do is take the bottom layer and you click on it and drag it to the trash, which is the black, and then you'd have the red remaining, just the red. I have a picture here of something with just the red remaining. There's one example, just the red remaining. Let's see if we got, there's the example of just the red remaining. But now we have to do a little something different here, I believe. So we go up here to we have to change the mode again, and this why we're changing the mode is because we want this number 185 color to transfer over into InDesign when we import the color. So now we're going to go from mode and we're going to go to duotone, and we're going to go to monotone here, meaning one color, and then if you click here, you see you can choose your different colors, Pantone Matching System colors, and then you'd go OK, and then we end up OK like that, and then we can file, save it, and that gives us the red additional color for the cover. We did the cuffs on the man drawing, and we did the shoes, and we did the sleeves. And so let's see what else we got up here. So there's what it looks like, what it's going to look like after it's printed. The black will trap over the, we failed to do one area here, and that was these little things on the sleeves in my demonstration. So again, as a repeat, you'd click on the, first of all, you would click on the paintbrush tool, and you make sure you had a second layer, and you would use the paintbrush tool and make a little outline in here up on the collar, and then you would take the paintbrush tool and just pour in the red like this in both cases, and then you would drag the two layers. You drag the black layer to the trash and only the red would be remaining. Then you'd go up here to image mode and go over here to duotone, which is not selectable now because things had to be converted to a grayscale first, and discard the color information. Then you go to image, then you go to mode, then you go to duotone, and then you would select monotone, and it would give you to turn it into a Pantone color that'll transfer over into InDesign. And so that's how you add a second color to a graphic. And now in another video we're going to show you how you import those graphics into InDesign and assemble a document together with all the pieces. Thank you for listening. Stay tuned for the next video with His Print Media Ministries.